I know that this audience of this show has grown massively. We are in the millions. The people are watching, and I know if they're watching that they feel the same way that I do, that our allies in power are few and far between, and we don't know what the hell is going on. We don't know who's actually fighting for us, and we feel like we are living under a illegitimate regime that is subjecting us to tyranny, that is making our lives hell, and that is seeking to destroy the very foundations of this country. And I just want to know from you specifically, somebody that I look up to, somebody that I look to know what's going on. Am I in the wrong here? Is what I'm seeing incorrect, or are we really living in a trying time such as this?
No, I think you're 100% correct. And I say it all the time. Here's the truth. And this is where my party, our party, or the Republican Party, and this is where many Americans really need to get on board with this word, communism. Communism. The Democrats are the Communist Party in America, and they're in charge. They are completely in control. And Republicans need to catch up to that fact. And Republicans, our conference in the House of Representatives, we have got to start organizing and making plans on how to stop this communist takeover of America. Because as soon as it starts, it needs to be stamped out. And I see no action from the Republican conference and willingness to do so. As a matter of fact, all they're interested in doing is talking about, oh, we're going to take back the House in 22. And all they're willing to do is talk about how Kevin McCarthy is going to be Speaker. But I don't see any plans put in place. And I don't see much action to stop the communists who are in control. And I'll give you some examples. I just walked out of the Capitol where the Republicans and Kevin McCarthy was leading it. It was a press conference out on the Capitol steps where they're saying things against Joe Biden's Build Back Better bill, the bill that we need to stop. But here's the issue, though. It was only just like last week, over a week ago, that our conference did not do anything to stop 13 Republicans from voting for the infrastructure bill, which is phase one of Biden's agenda. And then Kevin McCarthy and the rest of the leaders in my conference have done nothing to hold these 13 Republicans who are traitors. They have done nothing to hold them accountable, but yet they stand on the Capitol steps today and give a press conference about how we're against the Build Back Better agenda. Well, you know what? If you're against Biden's agenda, then our conference should be holding the 13 Republicans accountable. We should be removing them off of committees because they're not helping Republicans across this country. We should be taking them off of their ranking positions. By the way, 10 of the 13 are rankers. They hold the ranking position in our Republican conference on these committees, and we should be doing something about that. And then I didn't hear a word out of the GOP conference, giving the press conference, defending Paul Gosar, because these are the same people that didn't defend me when Democrats moved and had my committee stripped away. So you see, if the Republicans actually want to help Americans, then we need to take action. We need to have planning sessions, and we need to be doing the hard work to make it happen, not just playing Republicans on television.
Yeah, and that brings up a point. It actually makes me kind of nervous when you talk about how the Democrats have been so successful in stripping away committees. Because if you're not familiar with politics, this is really where the power comes in, the influence you can have in your party to affect change. And that's what we keep talking about on the show is that as Christians, as conservatives, as right-wingers, wherever you fall, we have a duty not only to God, but to this nation, to future generations, to fight right now where we can. And you are on the front lines. You and Gosar, and I'm sure there's a few others. I want to ask you, other than you and Gosar, who am I missing? Who's really fighting to instill and to protect and preserve the foundational principles of this country? Because at this point, I can't tell the difference between the Republicans and the Democrats.
The House Freedom Caucus is fighting. The House Freedom Caucus members are always fighting for our freedoms, for our Christian values, and for our conservative values. There are other Republicans in our conference that aren't members of the Freedom Caucus that will fight for them as well. But it's our leadership that's falling behind. And this is how we have to change it. We have to have our leadership step up to the plate and actually protect our Christian conservative values. Either that, or we have to be willing to change the leadership in the conference. And that is what we are going to have to decide when we take back the majority in 2022. So here's what's really important. You see, we have to recognize the fact that it's Republicans and Democrats together over the past decades, that have sold America out. They passed NAFTA and sent jobs overseas, closing down manufacturing plants and many American businesses, which destroyed small towns all across America and destroyed rural America. And you see these towns like the ones in my district and many other parts of our country where these small towns are now crumbling, trying so hard to stay alive. And the people that live in the small towns have so many problems. They live in poverty, or they have family members, or they themselves fall into drug addiction and alcoholism and so many sad things. But you see, the Republican Party should be the party that fights for the American people, for the American worker, for families and traditional family values, instead of seeing what we saw with the RNC and Ronna McDaniel, where she's declaring an LGBT coalition. Well, you know, the Republican Party doesn't play identity politics. So why are we playing identity politics? Why is Ronna McDaniel doing things like that? Here's how we save America. We protect traditional family values. We need mothers and fathers together raising their kids, doing a great job like these parents have been doing, fighting these school boards and holding schools accountable because it's their taxpayer dollars that pay for the schools. We need strong traditional families raising children to be good, responsible people when they become adults. That's how you save a country. It doesn't come with playing the political pendulum that swings back and forth on every 2 years or every 4 years. That's not going to do anything. That continues that slow slide that we've had for decades now, where we're nearly $30 trillion in debt and we are being controlled by a communist regime.
A great philosopher once said that you can be 2 out of 3 things: liberal, smart, or honest, but you can't be all 3. At Slightly Offensive, we're smart and honest. And if you like this clip, head over to Slightly Offensive YouTube channel by clicking right here, where you can find new episodes of our show weekly. We're bringing you the topics, news stories, and angles that will have you saying, why the hell wasn't I subscribed sooner? Also, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe to this channel too.